Do you ever think about how much your own behavior is driven by your inner child? What I mean by that is that inner child, that little boy or little girl that, needed to be loved and cared for and respected and accepted for who he or she was. That one that needed cuddles, that needed an ear to listen to him or her, that needed to be able to express themselves freely and safely, who needed safety. All of those very valid needs, they either had all of those needs met beautifully and harmoniously, or they didn't. And in many of our cases, whether we come from an abusive childhood or not, just simply some of those needs just did not get met or didn't get met in a positive way. So, how is that impacting you now? There are often times in life where we either witness somebody else reacting to something in not a very positive way, or perhaps it's us ourselves that blow up over a little thing or burst into tears over something that really was not crying worthy when we look at it in hindsight, right? Or just other types of behavior as well, maybe even procrastination and constantly getting ourselves distracted with the next shiny thing in order to avoid something, avoiding conflict, all kinds of different behaviors that we have or that we might witness in other people. And I'm just going to suggest to you that perhaps some of that behavior is actually the inner child that's coming out, the inner child who still needs to feel validated from their childhood, who still needs all of those same needs that they needed before that didn't get met. They still need that. You carry that memory around with you. In fact, your unconscious mind actually remembers every single thing that has ever happened to you. So, all of those times when your inner child, that younger version of yourself, feels like their need was not met, your unconscious mind is literally carrying that memory around, sometimes multiple memories. And once you have that, you have what your unconscious mind deems as being evidence to back up a learning that has occurred, and you develop a belief system. Now, what's really common is that obviously, as we get older, we understand a great deal more about the world. We understand a great deal more about human behavior and what drives people to do and say things. We can look back on certain circumstances and realize, oh, that person was actually doing the best that they could. They were quite overwhelmed. That's why they didn't have enough time for me when I was a child, because they had six other children they were looking after, plus they were single, right? They or widowed or whatever, holding down four jobs. We can rationalize things a lot as we become adults because we have a much greater understanding. But none of that rationalization, none of that understanding as we get older changes the fact that we had needs when we were children that did not get met or did not get met in a safe and respectful way. So that part of us is still thriving in our unconscious mind. We're using those memories as part of our filter system so that when information is coming into us, we are actually filtering it, deciding to delete some, distort some, right? To actually generalize some information coming in to us every second of every day using this filter of I'm not important enough, or I'm not safe, or I'm not lovable, or whatever it is. So it's really quite important that we allow ourselves to do inner child work. Sometimes it might seem a little bit uncomfortable and seem ridiculous, even to be, I'm a grown adult. I don't have an inner child. What? So you can look at it instead like tackling those memories that your unconscious mind has gathered and is using as evidence. And what you want to do is start to work through them so that your unconscious mind can be shown some new evidence, shown some evidence that, look, I am safe. Look at all the evidence that I have for how safe I am, how loved I am, how accepted I am. etc. And so we don't do that by dismissing what happened to us or by rationalizing what happened to us. We do that by actually having a conversation with our inner child. And we don't have to go back and relive traumatic events by any stretch of the imagination. That being said, oftentimes when we sit and we write out something or we say out loud what we would like to say to our inner child, the words that we would have liked to have heard from an adult or from anybody around us at that time, it does bring up emotion, but not emotion in the sense that you're reliving a tragedy or a trauma, but more it brings up the emotion of that's what I was missing. It's finally fulfilled. I finally have somebody that says, I'm proud of you, or I love you, or whatever the case may be. And so that's exactly what I would suggest is that you sit down and you write out as your inner child the things that you needed from the people around you, perhaps the words that you wished that they said and what they would have provided for you. And then you can write back as yourself today and write back to them, to your inner child, and give him or her exactly what it is that you are saying she needed at that time. If it's certain words, if it's an expression, if it's hugs and love and caring and whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Sometimes all it is just knowing that you're proud of your inner child, that you're proud of that younger version of you. Give it a try. It's life changing. Bless.